So this image is number 2, the High Priestess tarot card, my version of. And myself and this image have been in a bit of disagreement for at least the last week and a half, because it wasn't really taking any form or shape, which is usually okay, because it eventually happens, but it just wasn't happening. And then it eventually did, but part of what I understood from that was the battle between needing to understand the brain and the intuition, the feeling sense again. Anyway, that was for me. The typical card has a female figure, which represents the mother goddess in some way, so Persephone, Artemis, Isis, that type of thing. Be sat in the middle, and then either side of her are 2 pillars, representing like duality in some way. And then she is the mediator or bridge somehow between these 2 aspects. And there's usually associations with magic and intuition, female fertility symbolism, crescent moon, that type of thing. So I've just zoomed in on one of the main figures here, which to me looks a bit like the tower figure. This idea of the mother goddess as somebody who actually looks like a mother with like curvaceous body, everything exposed. This idea is nature intended, I guess. And there's like nature as in blue and green colours there. And then sort of above her head is what I kind of see as a bit like a serpent or a lizard. And then either a fish or a bird to her right hand side. Similar to the card that I shared the other day, she is actually almost still on the head of this other being that's underneath her, which looks more like a male character. Then it's got stuff like blue beings either side of him. Look a bit like water unicorns, whatever that is. And then to the right of that is like someone, it looks a bit like he's riding a jet ski. And then there's a female figure to the right of that, which also looks a bit like a flower. Obviously she's having a nice chat with a snake. There's also a fair bit of fiery energy here in the background. So on the left hand side here, there's what looks like a goat-headed figure with mouth open and what looks like a flower coming out of it. Part of his body reaching into the left hand side of what looks like a spinal column coming out of a head, being sat on the top of that, and some other faces coming out of that. And to the right of that, this other figure that looks a bit like a bird. There's some more faces and beings there that you can see. The one on the top right looks a bit like a sleepy giraffe, possibly. And then over on the far right, it looks like 2 people kind of talking to each other. One of them wants to do something more than talking. And then to the left of them below looks like a standing newt figure, the serpent to the right hand side. What I really get from this card about the divine feminine energy of the High Priestess is this idea of like beauty doesn't lie in like wearing masks, wearing things up. Everything in its raw natural form is perfect as it is. So like the depiction of the goddess body here wouldn't be what we accept as beauty in modern standards, but it's very powerful.